YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. I was wrong, ladies and gentlemen. I put out a video, I don't know if it was the last one or the one before that, where I said that I thought that beef prices were going to go up by 50%. Well, I was wrong because they've gone up by more than 100% just in the last few days. And I'm going to show you that here in a second or two. I'm going to go ahead and read some of this article. I won't read it all because it's kind of long, but I will leave the link for you guys to read it on your own if you'd like to. First, let me thank all of the new subscribers for joining our community. So thank you very much. I truly do hope that you enjoy the content, but more importantly, that you enjoy the community and take part as far as leaving comments, leaving questions, leaving suggestions and recommendations. So welcome. So let's get started. The reports continue to come in that there is a real problem with the U.S. food supply. From McDonald's reviewing their supply chain for beef to the pleas of ranchers already staring at feeding issues with last year's poor harvest and the signs that are there for major supply dislocation in beef going forward. So look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Last year's poor harvest is coming into play. Now, I remember talking about this last year, October, November timeframe, and even before then, that the poor harvest that was being masked over last year by the USDA would be realized sometime this year. And here it is. Now, as many of you know, I'm not sure if it was exactly my last video or not, but during the video where I was packaging the meat and talking, I said that Costco had limits on how much beef you could buy. And it says here, Kroger is limiting the amount of beef and pork people can buy. My local Winn-Dixie has had limits on large cuts of pork for the past couple of weeks. Pork loins have been gone for weeks now. So no pork jerky for us, which is a tragedy. Wendy's, which doesn't use frozen beef, is reporting more than 20% of their stores are out of beef. And it says here, Stevens analyst James Rutherford noted that 18% of Wendy's restaurants were completely sold out of beef items as of Monday evening. By our count, 1,043 Wendy's units were selling zero beef items yesterday evening. But within the figure, about 128 restaurants were still selling beef chili. Rutherford added that the storage varies across the country and said some restaurants still have full menus, while states like Ohio, Michigan, Tennessee, Connecticut, and New York are fully out of fresh beef. The note also said Wendy's is more exposed to meat shortages because of its reliance on fresh beef compared with its competitors. But this beef shortage has been a year in the making. Last year, because of poor grain harvest, especially corn, where millions of bushels came in at a quality not even fit for silage, we were already expecting disruptions in the beef market as ranchers were thinning herds and bidding up the price of feeder calves earlier in the year. Now, this is what I want you to take a look at, ladies and gentlemen, because some people who watch this video and listen to what I'm saying, they're going to say, well, yes, the prices are going up in my area, but not that much. Some areas it's going to go up, and in some areas it's going to go really up. It really depends on, on where you live in the country. When you look at it as the big picture, what I'm about to show you now, in a way, should be kind of scary. Because what I'm about to show you, the chart that you're looking at right here, is pretty much telling us that those people that do eat beef better expect to pay double, if not more than double, of what they're paying now in the near future. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. This is pretty much the average price of beef. Here's what they pay. The red line is what the feeder cattle are going for. So pretty much when they buy the small calves so that they can raise them up and then send them to wholesale. But that's not what we want to look at here. What we want to look at is the price of wholesale beef. So when the ranchers sell their beef, their cattle, to a wholesaler so that they can then process it and go ahead and put it out into the market. Now remember that this is not the price that you or I pay, and this is per 100 pounds. So not very long ago, I would say probably within the last couple of weeks or so, the price of wholesale beef was just above $200. I would say here it looks like about 205 or so dollars. Look at what happened in a couple of weeks. It went from about $205 to $428 per 100 pounds. And anyone that can do simple math would understand that what this means is that the end consumer is going to end up paying more than double of what we are used to paying now. It says here, finished cattle are fetching excellent prices while feeders are down. Comex live cattle futures, however, have yet to get the news because the dislocation in the supply chain has farmers slaughtering animals faster than they can be processed and brought to market. And just like the oil industry, once you kill a heifer or cap a well, it takes a long time to bring that lost supply back into the supply chain. And that there, ladies and gentlemen, is a key point. Once you kill a heifer, meaning a cow that is used to give birth to cattle that will become meat on the dinner table, once you kill that, I believe that it takes like several years before you can replace that heifer so that it can start producing cattle that can be raised and then put out into the market for beef. It says here, moreover, the supply bottlenecks are not at the independent processors, but the large-scale ones who are optimized to feed this meat into the restaurant and food service supply chain rather than to the supermarkets. And even then, they are experiencing shortages, which means there is a real dislocation in the supply chain that isn't going to be easy to unwind. More than chicken or pork, beef is vulnerable because of the life cycle of the cow and the time necessary to rebuild a robust supply chain. And with huge uncertainty in the market right now, who can blame ranchers for conserving cash and being defensive? Yeah, you can't really blame the ranchers. And here is a chart that pretty much breaks down how long it takes to replace the beef if you're starting from zero, right? So it says here, if for cattle, the gestation period is about 330 days, so it's just shy of a year, which has an average litter of 1. And the market replacement time in months is about 76 months, ladies and gentlemen. That's about 6 years. We are in this for the long run. That's my opinion. But seeing what I'm seeing now from what I'm reading and researching, and seeing what I'm seeing at the stores where the prices are going up, not as much as they're going to in the near future, in my opinion, but the prices are going up. The availability is being reduced, and that is shown in how they are only letting you buy 1 or 2 or 3 packs, depending on what stores you go to. But there is rationing in place. And then on top of that, me being able to communicate with a friend of mine who's a butcher and does this for a living, and him telling me, yes, we already have shortages and they're going to get worse. We are in this for the long term, ladies and gentlemen, so prepare accordingly. What are some of the things you can do to prepare for this? Let me go ahead and tell you what I think, because you guys always add several other things to what I tell you, which is great. And that's what I love about this community, is because I learned so much. But the first and easiest thing for you to do, if you have the funds and if you have the storage capacity, is to stock up on meat products, especially if you're not able to produce your own or to grow your own. Some people live in apartments or condos or in places where you're not allowed to have chickens or goats or rabbits or things like that. So if you are able to and you can afford to stock up en masse, go ahead and do it. It's still available now, and you can go and get it now. Some people will not get it even if they can afford it, because they're still in somewhat of a normalcy bias. Even now, ladies and gentlemen, after everything that's happened, some people are still in somewhat of a normalcy bias, thinking that everything's going to be all right. Now, this is another pretty good point. Someone actually made it on one of my previous videos. Reduce your consumption of meat. You know, there's only so much meat that you need to have on a daily basis. And for every person, for every individual, that is a different number. Figure out, do a little bit of research on your own. Hey, I weigh 150 pounds. How much protein do I need on a daily basis? You know, as a percentage of my caloric intake, how much protein should I have on a daily basis in order to continue to do what I do now and be able to function well and be healthy? Figure out how much you actually need. That way you're not overusing your supply. Another thing is, a lot of people have gotten on the comments, and I'm getting a lot of this from the comments, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for commenting, because it's important that we all share our insight so that it can help someone else. So another thing that I've read is, well, I'm a vegetarian. You know, this is not really going to affect me. Well, I'm not sure how much, you know, or whether it's going to affect you or not. But if you are a vegetarian, that's great. You know, that's how you choose to live your life. You know, that's one of the ways that you choose to live your life. That's great. And if you've ever considered trying to become a vegetarian, then go ahead and try it and see how it works for you. That way you don't have to be thinking about it. But what about the rest of your family? Are you going to force your family to become vegetarians? Think about raising your own livestock if you are able to. Chickens, rabbits, goats. If you have the availability of land, maybe some pigs. You know, think about alternatives, like maybe getting some mealworms to feed your chickens. That way they can give you eggs. You know, and that way they can also turn those mealworms into meat protein if you decide to harvest their meat. Let me know in the comments, if you would like, what alternatives would you use in order to combat the likelihood that beef, especially, and all other meats too, will become too expensive for the average person to purchase and consume, and or unavailable altogether. Please leave your comments below, ladies and gentlemen, because like I said, I learn a lot from your comments, and I know that if I do, there's a lot of other people out there reading your comments and learning as well. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so that's going to be it for today. I hope you guys get something out of this, and like I said, please leave your comments below, leave your thoughts, leave your suggestions, recommendations on what you would do to combat the coming beef and altogether meat shortage. It's like I said on one of my previous videos, you know, there may not be a total loss of meat products on the shelves, but I believe that it's going to get so expensive that most people will not be able to afford it. And if they do, it'll be a luxury item that they eat maybe once in a blue moon. So having said that, I hope you guys are having a great day today. Thank you very much for joining in. I truly do appreciate you guys coming over here and spending a little bit of time with me whenever I put up a video. So thank you. Remember to be good to each other, because when good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper, and I am out.